What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Martin, the lead designer, and I'm back with devlog number 19. And I think that you guys are really gonna like this devlog because we're gonna finally take a look at the long-awaited helicopters prototype. That's right, I said helicopters. Taviana the Origins is going to have helicopters. Now, before we begin, let me just enlarge the screen here. You might be wondering why there's no textures, no objects or anything on the map. There's no need to worry, we didn't accidentally delete the game. This is actually a brand new, completely separate test project that we've created to develop this prototype. That's how we kind of do things. Before we add any new features to the main game, we first develop them in a separate project so that if anything goes wrong, we don't mess up the actual game, but we only break the test project, which doesn't matter because we can delete it, restore a backup, or start again. Whatever, basically we don't break the main game. And then when we're satisfied that everything works, then we migrate everything to the actual game and finish it up there. So anyway, enough yapping, let me get into this helicopter. We're gonna start the engine and we need to wait a couple of seconds for the engine to build sufficient speed so that it can generate lift. There we go, I think that's enough, and we can lift off now and we can ascend. And look at that, guys, we're flying. We can also descend, so let me descend into this valley. And if you're wondering why we're using this particular type of helicopter instead of something like the Pragacopter, well, it's because the model isn't ready yet. So for testing purposes, we're using this wreck that we have on the map. So we can ascend, we can descend, we can also rotate the helicopter to the right, well actually to the left. I'm rotating it to the left, we can rotate it to the right again. Uh-oh, I need to ascend. I want to crash into that cliff. Don't worry guys, I'm a professional pilot. So let me try landing really quickly. Well, actually probably not too quickly. We want to land gently so that we don't break the helicopter. So let me slow it down. There we go, easy does it. Probably not a good idea to land on a big hill. There we go, easy does it. And we've landed. And now we can turn off the engine again. Before somebody says that this is only a single player demo, I'm going to demonstrate that this does work in multiplayer. As you can see, I've got two instances of the game running. In this instance, I'm standing here in the corner so we can see the helicopter well. And then in this instance, I'm going to fly the helicopter. Let me just run over to the other character so you can see me running here. See, there's my character right there. Now I'm going to run over to the helicopter and get in. Let's start the engine and wait for the engine speed to build up. And now we can take off. And as you can see, this does indeed work in multiplayer. In case you're wondering how this works, this is fully server-authoritative, meaning that the main helicopter simulation is happening on the server, and all the computers at home are kind of just replicating what's going on the server. As opposed to in the mod, which was client-authoritative, meaning that the simulation of the helicopter was happening at home on your computer and was then being replicated to everybody else through the server. So in simple terms, what that means is in the mod you can just change, or you could just change the position of your helicopter on your computer and it would change on everybody else's computer. So you could cheat like that. Whereas on a server authoritative system, whatever you do on your own computer doesn't matter because all the other players will never see it, and the server is just going to snap the helicopter on your computer back to where it's supposed to be anyway. So if I open up the cheat menu here and I click the toggle corrections button, you can see that there's now a second red helicopter kind of on top of my helicopter, and that's showing us where the helicopter is on the server. So the server is sending us the location of where the helicopter is supposed to be, and then our computer at home is kind of trying to match that location. As you can see, the location of the helicopter on the server and on my computer isn't always exactly the same. There is a little bit of a discrepancy sometimes, but that doesn't really matter as long as the discrepancy isn't too much. So to demonstrate the server authoritative stuff that I was talking about earlier, I've again launched the game in 2 instances. As you can see, I've got 2 windows open. There's one instance and there's the second instance. So pretend that these 2 windows are 2 different computers at 2 different locations on the planet, 2 different people playing the game at their house. And so in this instance, I'm going to pretend to be a cheater and I'm going to teleport the helicopter on my computer. And you keep an eye on the helicopter's location here on the other person's computer, and you'll notice that even though the location of the helicopter is changing on my computer, it's not actually changing on their computer, and on my computer it's going to be snapped back to where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to click the button to teleport and let's see what happens. As you can see, my helicopter is teleporting 200 meters above its current location, but the location isn't changing at all on the other person's computer or on the server. But instead what's happening is that I'm being returned to where I'm supposed to be, which is my location on the server. So there you have it, guys. No more teleporting, no more cheating, no more shenanigans as it was in the mod. Now I'd like to have a word about the damage, but before we talk about the damage, we need to understand how a helicopter fundamentally works. So as you can see, we've got 2 propellers. We've got the big horizontal propeller on the roof or on the top of the helicopter, and then we have a smaller vertical propeller on the tail. So the way it works is the big horizontal propeller is what's generating the lift and keeping your helicopter in the air and also allowing it to ascend and descend, whereas the smaller propeller on the tail is what's keeping the helicopter straight and also allowing it to turn. So when it comes to the damage, there's 2 types of damage that can happen to the helicopter. One, either the main propeller breaks or the engine stops. So let me open up the cheat menu, and if I destroy the main propeller, what's going to happen is it's going to stop generating lift and the helicopter is just going to fall out of the sky. So let's give it a try. As you can see, we've added some what's supposed to be smoke, a smoke effect, but we're going to improve that once we migrate the helicopter to the main project. And of course the helicopter should have exploded now that it hit the ground, but as I said, this is a prototype, guys. Alright, and now if we break the propeller on the tail, the helicopter will become uncontrollable and it should start spinning. And there we go. And eventually, if we leave it like this, it'll just crash somewhere. So yeah, guys, all we need to do now is add the autopilot functionality to this prototype, and then we need to migrate the prototype into the main game project so we can hook it up to the actual game's functionality, so we can add proper damage effects, the HUD and everything, and that'll pretty much be it. I mean, helicopters are pretty simple. There's not much more to them than what I've shown in this prototype video. So anyway, if you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. And if you like what we're doing here, please consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/TavianaTheOrigins. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.